stepping out of self-imposed prejudices, challenging yourself to discover the truth. Hello, dear viewers of the Daily Stoic Practice channel. Today we embark on a special journey where we will challenge the limits that we have unconsciously set for ourselves. Often we get swept away by routines, prejudices, and the comfort of everyday life, inadvertently preventing ourselves from discovering our true potential. But have you ever wondered, what happens if I step out of that comfort zone? What happens if I dare to confront and challenge the deeply ingrained thoughts within my subconscious mind? Prejudice doesn't only exist in how we view others, but even more deeply in how we perceive ourselves. We often limit ourselves with beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I can't do that, or this is too difficult for me. These are the invisible walls we build, and only when we dare to break them can we truly discover ourselves and reach greatness. However, stepping out of your comfort zone is never easy. It requires courage and unwavering determination because the truth can sometimes be complex and hard to accept. But if you're brave enough to face the truth, to challenge the prejudices about yourself, you won't just overcome every limit, you'll also become the best version of yourself. Prejudice, the silent enemy in our lives. First, we need to understand that prejudice is not just an external force. It's also about how we view ourselves. It could be thoughts like, I'm not talented, I'm not strong enough, or I'll never succeed. These beliefs stem from past experiences, societal influences, family, and even past failures we've encountered. Interestingly, truly successful people never let these prejudices control them. Imagine you're a diver, and you've always been accustomed to diving at safe depths. You know exactly what awaits you at each depth, and that brings you comfort. But have you ever wondered what lies beneath the deeper waters? You might be afraid, uncertain of what you'll find, but you also know that down there could be a whole new world of wonders you've never imagined. Our prejudices and comfort zones are like that. They hold us back, preventing us from exploring new limits. A story of success by challenging prejudice. Let's look at a famous example from Steve Jobs, the founder of Apple. During the development of the first iPhone, most people believed that a phone without a physical keyboard would never succeed. At the time, all mobile manufacturers were focused on phones with physical keyboards. But Jobs didn't buy into this prejudice. He decided to go against conventional thinking and develop a product the market had never thought of. And what was the result? The iPhone became one of the most iconic products of all time, forever changing how we use technology. This doesn't mean that Jobs didn't feel fear or anxiety. He undoubtedly faced a lot of opposition and doubt, but he dared to challenge not only his own prejudices but also those of the entire industry, creating something entirely new. And this is an important lesson. If we only follow what others say, we'll never discover anything new. We must be willing to step out of our comfort zone and face new challenges. The comfort zone and personal growth. The comfort zone isn't just a place of emotional safety. It's also where our growth is stunted. When you're in your comfort zone, you don't face risks, but you also don't have the chance to learn and grow. It's like working out. If you never increase the weight, your muscles will never grow. You might feel comfortable with your current weights, but the truth is, you're limiting yourself. Successful people understand that to grow, you need to embrace discomfort. You have to be willing to step out of your comfort zone and take risks. This doesn't mean you should dive into dangerous or reckless situations, but you need to challenge yourself to push beyond the limits you've set. Another example is learning a new language. For many, learning a language is a huge challenge. It requires you to absorb a completely new system, which can be very difficult. But if you stay in your comfort zone, you'll never learn that language. However, if you dare to step out, to try, you'll find that you're capable of learning and mastering it. And this opens up a whole new world. Fear and failure. Crucial stepping stones. Fear is one of the most natural human emotions, and it often arises when we face the unknown or something we haven't tried before. But fear is also what hinders our growth. Successful people aren't those who never feel fear. They are those who know how to face it and use it as a driving force. One example of this is Elon Musk. When he decided to start SpaceX, many thought he was crazy. Even Musk himself admitted that the chances of success for SpaceX were very low. But he still chose that path, despite the fear and doubt. Now, SpaceX is one of the most successful aerospace companies in the world. Failure is also an essential part of growth. When you fail, you learn valuable lessons you could never gain if you only stayed in your comfort zone. Failure isn't the end, but an opportunity to learn and improve. The key is to view failure as part of the journey, not the final result. The truth only reveals itself when you face yourself. Ultimately, when you dare to step out of your comfort zone, challenge your prejudices, and face your fears, you will discover the truth about yourself and the world around you. This process isn't easy, but it will bring incredible results. You will uncover abilities you never thought you had, and this will open new doors in your life. We have just completed a journey of discovery about prejudice, fear, and personal growth. We all have self-imposed limits, but only those who dare to break through them truly take control of their lives. Are you ready to step out of your comfort zone and explore the truth and your true potential? Part 1. Looking deeper into others' words and actions. Think back to a recent conversation you've had. Has there ever been a time when someone said, "I don't care," but through their tone and facial expression, you realized they actually cared a great deal? This is a classic example of the discrepancy between what people say and what they truly feel. To better understand others and ourselves, we need to learn to look beyond what people say. In today's world, the gap between words and actions is quite common. Society has created a facade that we often use to hide our true emotions. This is a way of protecting ourselves from being hurt, from failure, or from the judgment of others. However, to truly understand and effectively interact with others, you must develop the ability to recognize and analyze not just what they say, but also what they don't say. Why words and actions don't always match. We need to understand that there are many reasons why people's words and actions are not always consistent. One of the most important reasons is that people tend to hide their true feelings out of fear of being hurt, judged, or rejected. When you hear someone say, "I'm fine," but their expression tells you otherwise, it's because society has taught us to remain composed and control our emotions, avoiding vulnerability. In social situations, many people feel that expressing their true feelings will make them seem weak or be judged. That's why, instead of speaking the truth, we often choose to hide it behind our words. However, if you rely solely on what others say without paying attention to body language, facial expressions, or actions, you may miss out on important information. The ability to see through. A valuable skill in life and work. Intelligent people don't just listen to what others say. They know how to look at nonverbal cues and actions to gain deeper insights into the other person's true feelings. This is a valuable skill in all aspects of life, from personal relationships to professional work. Imagine you're working on an important project at your company. A team member says they have no issues with their current workload, but based on their tone and expression, you can tell they're under a lot of pressure. If you rely solely on their words, the project may not progress smoothly because one team member is struggling and no one realizes it. But if you pay attention to nonverbal cues, you can offer help and support before the problem escalates. Another example is in personal relationships. When a friend says they're not bothered by something you did, but their body language tells a different story. They're upset, but unwilling to admit it. If you don't pick up on this, your relationship could suffer. Intelligent people know that understanding hidden emotions is key to maintaining lasting, deep connections. Real-world example: seeing beyond in communication. One of the standout examples of understanding words versus actions is in the art of negotiation. In high-stakes negotiations, professional negotiators don't just listen to what the other party says. They also observe body language, facial expressions, and immediate reactions. For example, if a negotiator says, "I'm not interested in this term," but emphasizes or appears tense when mentioning it, it suggests that the term is more important than they're admitting. This is when reading beyond actions helps negotiators make strategic decisions. We also see the disparity between words and actions in politics. Leaders often make public statements, but their actions may not align with their words. This creates public distrust and skepticism. For example, when a leader promises major reforms to protect the environment, but supports policies that promote pollution-heavy industries, their words and actions contradict each other. This reminds us that words don't always reflect reality. Don't believe everything you hear. Look at the actions. One of the key principles intelligent people live by is, don't trust everything you hear. Look at the actions. This doesn't mean we should become cynical or distrustful of everyone, but rather, we should learn to perceive the truth more objectively. Those who live by this philosophy aren't easily deceived by promises or grand statements. They understand that actions truly reflect a person's character. Words can easily change, but actions are harder to disguise. Someone may say they're willing to help you, but if they never act on it, their words are just surface level. Applying this in daily life now, think about how you can apply this mindset to your daily life. At work, if you're managing a team, pay attention not just to what your team members say, but also to how they behave, their body language during meetings, and how they respond to pressure. This will help you better understand their moods and capabilities, allowing you to make appropriate adjustments for optimal efficiency. In personal relationships, learn to listen genuinely, not just with your ears, but with your eyes and heart as well. If you feel like a friend is hiding something, don't just rely on their words. Observe how they react in different situations and be brave enough to ask if necessary. This will not only help you understand them better, but also foster deeper and more sincere relationships. Now that we've grasped the importance of looking deeper into others' words and actions, let's move on to another equally vital aspect of life: developing reverse thinking to break free from the crowd. This requires not only looking deeper, but also the courage to think and act differently. Let's explore how successful people have used creative thinking to defy social trends and reach new heights. Part 2. Reverse thinking. The key to not being swept away by the crowd. We live in a world where people are often swept away by the ease of following the crowd. From small everyday choices like shopping and consumption to big decisions like careers, investments, and how we build our lives, all are influenced by what others are doing. We tend to follow the crowd because it's the easiest thing to do. But is this really the best path? And can following this path lead you to extraordinary success? The answer is no. The most successful people in history, from great thinkers like Socrates to top entrepreneurs like Elon Musk, all have one thing in common. They were never afraid to go against the crowd. They knew that to achieve something different, they had to think differently. Crowd mentality, benefits and limitations. Crowd mentality is not always a bad thing. It offers safety and a sense of belonging to a community. When you follow the crowd, you face fewer risks, less judgment, and sometimes you can benefit from collective decisions. However, the biggest limitation of crowd mentality is that it restricts creativity and prevents you from discovering your true potential. When you constantly follow what others are doing, you inadvertently place yourself within a fixed framework, unable to break free and create groundbreaking things. You start living by others' standards rather than your own. A prime example of this is in the fashion industry. Every year, hundreds of brands release new collections to attract consumers. Most people choose to buy products that are trending to avoid being outdated. But those with true fashion sense, those who know how to create personal style, don't chase trends. They make selections based on their personality and style. They're not afraid to go against what's popular. And that's precisely what makes them stand out. Reverse thinking. Stepping outside your comfort zone. So how can you escape crowd mentality and start thinking in reverse? The first step is realizing that the safety provided by the crowd is not everything. It's merely an illusion because in reality, always following the crowd can lead you into a spiral of mediocrity. You'll always be limited by the choices others have made, instead of finding your own path. This requires a certain amount of courage because reverse thinking isn't always easy. It can make you feel isolated, misunderstood, and at times criticized by those around you. But that's the price of being different. Think of successful entrepreneurs like Richard Branson, founder of Virgin Group. He went against all expert advice when he decided to invest in the airline industry, an industry already saturated with giants like British Airways and American Airlines. But by thinking differently and not shying away from risks, Richard Branson made Virgin Atlantic one of the most beloved airlines in the world. Practicing reverse thinking in everyday life. You might think that reverse thinking is something only for big-time entrepreneurs or great thinkers. But in reality, you can apply this mindset to your everyday life, creating difference and achieving remarkable results. Start by asking yourself, why am I doing this the way I've always done it? Is there another approach to this problem? You can practice reverse thinking by changing small habits in your daily routine. For example, if you always work from home, try changing your work environment. If you always use a certain method to solve a task, try a completely new method and see what happens. As you become accustomed to challenging old patterns, you'll start to realize that the world doesn't just have one way of doing things. There are countless paths and solutions you've never considered before. Reverse thinking in career and investment. In your career, reverse thinking is a powerful tool that helps you stand out from the crowd. Instead of always doing what others are doing, you can think of newer, more creative approaches, even riskier ones. But this will make you a pioneer, opening new opportunities that no one else sees. Reverse thinking is also valuable in investment. Successful investors like Warren Buffett or Charlie Munger never follow market trends. Instead, they seek out investment opportunities that no one else notices or fields that the crowd considers too risky. This distinct way of thinking has helped them achieve outstanding success in the long run. The story of those who swam against the tide. Consider the individuals who changed the world. Steve Jobs didn't create Apple by following what others were doing. When he developed the first iPhone, the mobile phone market was dominated by phones with physical keyboards. But Jobs saw a different future. A future where people would interact with their phones through touchscreens. This reverse thinking helped him create a groundbreaking product that forever changed the tech industry. Another example is Elon Musk, who defied all expert advice when he invested in the electric vehicle and space exploration industries. At the time, no one believed that electric cars had a future, and even fewer thought a private company could send humans into space. But through reverse thinking, unbound by the conventional wisdom of the crowd, Musk transformed Tesla and SpaceX into industry leaders. Breaking free from crowd mentality, the beginning of creativity. Reverse thinking doesn't just help you avoid being swept up by the crowd, it's also the key to unlocking creativity. When you're no longer constrained by what others think, you'll start to see opportunities and solutions that no one else sees. You'll become more flexible in your approach to problems and be willing to experiment with new ideas. Don't be afraid to go against the tide. The most creative ideas often emerge when you challenge conventional thinking. Imagine if everyone in history had only done what had been done before. Our world would never have had groundbreaking inventions like Edison's light bulb or the Wright brothers' airplane. Turning reverse thinking into action. The final point is this: reverse thinking only has value when it's transformed into action. You can't just sit and think differently. You have to act differently. This requires courage, patience, and sometimes failure. But each time you act based on reverse thinking, you'll learn more and get closer to success. Having understood the power of reverse thinking and knowing how to apply it in life, we now move on to another crucial aspect: the ability to identify the truth hidden behind the illusions that society often creates. This not only helps us better understand the true nature of the world, but also enables us to find the right path to act in any situation. Part 3. The ability to recognize the truth behind illusions. The world we live in is full of illusions. What we see on social media, in the media, or even in our everyday lives is often only a curated version of reality. Successful people understand that to truly master life, they must learn to see beyond these facades and discover the truth hidden behind them. When you see a celebrity flaunting their wealth or glamorous lifestyle on Instagram, have you ever wondered what's behind all of that? Maybe their life isn't as perfect as it appears. Or when you see impressive revenue figures from a company, do you ever question whether those numbers accurately reflect the real situation? This is when the ability to recognize the truth behind illusions becomes important. Recognizing illusions in modern society. Modern society is highly sophisticated in concealing the truth. Today, we live in a world where everything is curated to fit a narrative or serve a particular purpose. From social media posts, advertising campaigns, to company financial reports, everything can be edited or manipulated to serve a certain interest. We've become accustomed to judging others based on what they show us externally. But the truth is, what people say and do doesn't always reflect their true nature. If we don't learn to see beyond these surfaces, we risk being swept up in the illusions created by society. A prime example is big e-commerce platforms. They might use tricks to inflate the number of orders or create a sense of product scarcity to drive consumer demand. You might think the product is highly sought after and valuable, but the reality could be different. If you're not careful, you can easily fall into the trap of buying things you don't really need. Understanding the truth. The first step to taking proper action. Successful people don't just look at the surface of issues. They know that to make the right decisions, they need to uncover the hidden truths. This skill helps them avoid being deceived by what seems perfect on the surface and allows them to take precise actions. Take financial investment, for example. Many amateur investors get swept up by temporary market trends. When they see a stock rising in value, they immediately invest without thoroughly researching the company's actual situation. The result? They might lose money when the stock price plummets. However, professional investors like Warren Buffett always conduct thorough research before making a decision. They know that what looks promising on the surface often isn't the whole truth, and they are willing to pass up short-term opportunities for long-term success. The ability to recognize the truth isn't limited to financial or business matters. It applies to your personal life as well. When you can see through illusions, it becomes easier to identify which relationships are truly valuable and which ones are merely draining your time and energy. Practicing the skill of seeing through illusions. To develop the ability to recognize the truth, you need to practice observing and analyzing everything more deeply. Don't rush to conclusions based on what you initially see. Always ask yourself, is this really the truth? Is there something hidden beneath the surface? For example, when you watch an advertisement for a new product, don't simply believe the polished marketing messages. Do your research, read reviews, and learn about the manufacturer. Only when you have enough information can you make an informed decision. Seeing through illusions also applies to personal relationships. Sometimes the people you think are your friends may not be as trustworthy as you believe. Or those who present themselves as perfect may be hiding their flaws. You need to stay alert and not be deceived by appearances. The ability to recognize the truth in the workplace. In the workplace, the ability to see the truth is a critical skill that can help you advance and achieve success. When you're faced with a new task, don't just follow what's been assigned. Dig deeper into the context of the task, the company's long-term goals, and any hidden factors you may not realize at first. If you only follow orders without questioning, you'll easily fall into the trap of working without fully understanding the ultimate goal. But if you constantly ask why and seek the real answers, you'll quickly gain a deeper understanding of how the company operates and how to achieve the best results. The ability to recognize the truth in social relationships. Beyond work and investment, this skill is essential in social relationships. Modern life often makes us easily deceived by superficial appearances. Someone may seem friendly and trustworthy, but behind that, they may have personal agendas that you don't immediately see. Always be cautious and evaluate situations based on both actions and words. Just as you need to thoroughly research before investing in a stock, you also need to spend time understanding those around you before placing complete trust in them. This is a crucial life skill that will protect you from negative relationships and help you build healthier, more meaningful ones. How to see through media illusions. In the digital age, the ability to see through illusions created by the media is key to protecting your mental health. Modern media, especially social networks, often makes us feel like our lives are inadequate compared to the perfect images others share. But remember, what you see on social media is just a carefully curated highlight reel. The beautiful photos on Instagram and the success stories on Facebook are just the tip of the iceberg. Beneath that lies hardship and challenges no one wants to share. When you recognize this, you'll stop comparing your life to others and as a result, feel more content with what you have. The truth and personal values. Ultimately, the ability to recognize the truth will help you live a more honest and valuable life. When you're no longer deceived by illusions, you can easily identify what truly matters to you and build a life around those values. This leads to a more fulfilling and happy life because you're no longer driven by societal pressures or unrealistic expectations. You live in a way that aligns with your true desires, and that brings genuine freedom. Once you understand how to see the truth behind the illusions of life, the next step is the journey to discover your true self. Your true self is the deepest part within you, where your values, beliefs, and passions reside. Part 4. The journey to discover your true self. The path to fulfillment. As we talk about the journey of discovering the true self, it's not just about identifying what we love or are passionate about, but about understanding ourselves on a deeper level. It's the process of comprehending what makes us who we are, and then living authentically in alignment with those core values, even when it goes against societal expectations or the environment around us. But to understand oneself, sometimes we must go through difficult and uncertain times. Fulfillment doesn't come from avoiding life's challenges, but from facing them, learning, and growing from the experiences. It is when we are no longer controlled by external factors, but fully in charge of our own lives. The nature of the true self. What is the true self, really? It's the deepest part inside each of us, where our values, beliefs, and wisdom from birth reside. Yet, for many reasons, this true self is often hidden beneath layers of prejudices, societal expectations, and sometimes even our own fears. When the true self is suppressed, we may feel as though life loses its meaning, and it's easy to get lost in the trivialities of life. Imagine the true self as a small flame inside everyone. That flame can either burn bright if we know how to nurture it, or it can gradually fade if we don't pay attention to it. Living true to oneself is not an easy task, but it is the path to real freedom, a kind of freedom that nothing external can take away from you. The journey to reconnect with the true self. The journey to discover the true self is not a short-term one. It requires patience, deep self-awareness, and sometimes significant changes in our lives. However, the important thing is that you must be ready to face yourself, question the beliefs you've held, and challenge the patterns of thinking you've accepted for years. In modern life, it's easy to be swept away by the fast pace of life, without time to pause, reflect, and reconnect with ourselves. We chase material goals, fame, and the approval of others without realizing that these things cannot fill the emptiness inside. Remember, fulfillment doesn't come from having more. It comes from understanding yourself more deeply. To start the journey of discovering your true self, you can begin by asking, what truly matters to me? And am I living in alignment with my values? These questions might seem simple, but if you truly reflect on them, you'll realize that they can open new doors to self-awareness and personal discovery. Patience and self-awareness. Discovering the true self requires patience. It's not something you can achieve overnight. In fact, many people spend their entire lives trying to understand and uncover their true selves. But every step forward on this journey is worth it. Every time you overcome a challenge, every time you dare to face the difficulties in life, you come closer to the truth about who you are. Think about the times in your life when you felt lost or directionless. Those could be signs that you are straying from your true self. When you feel dissatisfied with your current life, it might be time to pause, reflect, and ask yourself if you are living according to your true desires, or if you are simply following the expectations of others. Where does true fulfillment come from? True fulfillment doesn't come from possessing external things like money, power, or fame. Those things can bring temporary happiness, but they can't fill the emptiness inside you. True fulfillment only comes when you live in accordance with your values, when you are no longer bound by external pressures or other people's expectations. On this journey, you will realize that your true self is not just about what you think of yourself, but also about how you connect with the world around you. When you live true to yourself, you will feel a sense of harmony with everything around you. You will no longer feel isolated or disconnected, but instead, you will feel a deep connection to life and the people around you. How to reconnect with your true self. Reconnecting with your true self requires making changes in the way you live and think. Sometimes this may require you to let go of relationships, jobs, or even a lifestyle that you've grown accustomed to. But only when you dare to do so, can you live a life of true meaning, one that you truly control and lead. Take time to reflect on your core values and what truly brings meaning to your life. This might require you to listen to your heart instead of just following logic or external pressures. Connecting with like-minded people. One of the most effective ways to discover your true self is to connect with like-minded individuals. Those who understand the importance of living according to their values and are not swept away by the currents of society. These relationships will help you feel supported and encouraged on your journey of self-discovery. In life, you may meet people who don't understand or support your decisions when you begin living in alignment with your true self. But the important thing is to always hold firm to your beliefs and not let those negative thoughts steer you away from your path. Living true to yourself may be a lonely journey at times, but it is also the path that brings the deepest fulfillment and happiness. Living true to yourself is the path to true happiness. Ultimately, the journey of discovering the true self is a long and challenging one, but it is also the journey that brings true freedom. When you dare to live true to yourself, no longer bound by societal pressures or old prejudices, you will find life much richer and more meaningful. Don't be afraid to go against what you once believed. Don't be afraid to question and challenge the values you've accepted for years. Only when you dare to face yourself, step out of your comfort zone, can you live a truly fulfilling and happy life. Start today by listening to yourself, and from there, you will discover abilities and potential you never thought you had. And remember, this journey has no final destination. It is a never-ending journey of discovery and growth. Part 5. The power of self-awareness and changing your mindset. After discovering your true self and understanding the importance of living authentically, the next thing we need to examine is the ability to self-reflect and change your mindset. If your true self is the deepest part of you, then your mindset is the door that leads to it. Your mindset is the key to unlocking unlimited potential. But that requires constant adjustment, change, and sometimes breaking away from old thinking patterns to open up a whole new world of possibilities. breaking out of fixed mindsets. Our mindset is often shaped by our environment, family, education, and life experiences. All of these factors determine how we perceive the world and evaluate ourselves. But the problem is that a fixed mindset, what we've learned in the past, doesn't always align with the future. As the world changes, we also need to change the way we think if we want to adapt and grow. Have you ever wondered why some people always succeed no matter the circumstances? It's not because they are luckier than others, but because they know how to change their mindset to adapt to new circumstances. They are not bound by old thoughts or outdated beliefs, but remain open to new opportunities and challenges. Self-awareness as the first step to change. One of the most important steps in changing your mindset is the ability to self-reflect. This means you need to understand what you're thinking, why you're thinking that way, and whether those thoughts are helping you move forward or holding you back. Self-awareness isn't just about recognizing your strengths and weaknesses, but also about recognizing the negative thinking patterns that you may have unknowingly built up over the years. For example, have you ever told yourself, "I'm not good enough," or "I can't do this"? Such negative thoughts often stem from past negative experiences, and they can become barriers preventing you from achieving great things in the future. But once you become aware of this, you can begin to change how you perceive yourself and start building a new mindset, a mindset of growth. Growth mindset versus fixed mindset. Carol Dweck, a psychology professor at Stanford University, developed an important concept about mindset called the growth mindset and the fixed mindset. According to Dweck, people with a fixed mindset often believe that their abilities and intelligence are set in stone. They think they were born with a certain level of intelligence and can't do anything to improve it. These people tend to avoid challenges, fear failure, and are unwilling to learn from their mistakes. In contrast, people with a growth mindset believe that their abilities can develop and improve over time. They are not afraid of challenges because they know that every failure is an opportunity to learn and grow. These are people who are not limited by fixed thinking and are always looking for ways to expand their knowledge and skills. Which category do you fall into? Are you willing to challenge yourself and change your mindset to go further in life? Mindset shift, from victim to empowered. One of the most significant mindset changes you can make is to shift from a victim mindset to an empowered mindset. When you have a victim mindset, you often feel that you have no control over your life. You blame circumstances, other people, and things outside of your control. You think there's nothing you can do to change the situation, and so you do nothing. On the other hand, people with an empowered mindset believe that they always have control over at least some part of their life. They don't just react to what happens around them, they act to change their circumstances. They don't wait for something good to happen, they create it. A classic example of moving from a victim mindset to an empowered one is the story of Viktor Frankl, an Austrian psychologist who survived the Nazi concentration camps during World War II. While imprisoned, Frankl realized that although he couldn't control his situation, he could control how he responded to it. He discovered that the greatest freedom humans have is the ability to choose how to face hardship. This mindset helped him survive the most brutal challenges and live to tell his story. The power of perseverance in changing your mindset. Changing your mindset is not something that happens overnight. It's a long process that requires patience. But once you begin, every small step in that process brings immense changes to your life. Remember, you don't need to change everything all at once. Start with small steps, such as changing the way you think about a particular issue in your work or personal life, and gradually, you will see the difference. As you start to shift your mindset, you will notice that life becomes easier. Challenges that once seemed insurmountable will become much more manageable. You will no longer fear failure, because you understand that each failure is a valuable lesson. And instead of feeling limited by your circumstances, you will realize that you always have control over how you respond to them. Changing your mindset and achieving long-term success. In the end, your mindset is the key to long-term success. People with a growth mindset who are willing to change and learn will always find ways to achieve their goals. They are not afraid of challenges because they understand that each challenge is an opportunity to grow and learn. But it's not just about material success. Changing your mindset also helps you achieve success in emotional and mental well-being. When you are no longer tied down by negative thoughts or self-imposed limits, you will feel freer and happier. You will live a life filled with meaning, not just one driven by fear and insecurity. Now that we've explored the importance of mindset change and self-awareness, let's move on to the next important topic: how not to be swept up by the crowd. In today's society, the pressure from those around us can cause us to lose control of our direction and lose ourselves. So how do you stand firm against these pressures and continue to walk your own path? Let's dive into this in the next section. Part 6. Reverse thinking. The key to avoiding the crowd mentality. We live in an age where trends and the opinions of the masses seem to control everything. From the smallest decisions in daily life to big choices like career paths or life goals, the influence of the crowd is undeniable. The pressure to fit in and do what everyone else is doing can cause you to lose your individuality and the ability to think independently. But here's a truth we can't ignore. The most successful people, those who truly make a difference, are the ones who don't get swept up by the crowd. The power of reverse thinking in modern society. Thinking in opposition to the crowd doesn't mean you always have to do the opposite of everyone else, but it does require you to have self-awareness and the courage to act based on your own thoughts, regardless of the majority trend. This is especially true in modern society, where the media and social networks constantly set certain standards for success, happiness, and personal value. If you simply follow those trends without careful consideration, you may lose sight of the path you truly want to take. For example, many people rush into investment trends just because everyone else is doing it. But what happens when that trend fades away, or when the crowd has made a mistake? You could lose everything if you lack independent thinking and decision-making. The dangers of following the crowd. One prime example of being swept up by the crowd is in financial bubbles. History has shown us many times how economic bubbles get inflated just because everyone jumps on a certain trend. Take the dot-com bubble of the late 1990s, for instance. Numerous tech companies without solid foundations received massive interest and investment just because the crowd believed the internet would change everything. Which it did, but not every company was capable of realizing that potential. When the bubble burst, many investors lost everything. The problem here is that when you follow the crowd without thorough consideration, you can easily get caught up in poor decisions. This also applies to personal life. If you live according to what others expect and want from you, you'll lose your true self. You'll no longer be you, but rather a copy of everyone else. Independent thinking, a vital asset for success. Conversely, successful people are often those who dare to think independently and are unafraid to go against the crowd's expectations. They don't let stereotypes or peer pressure control their decisions. They know that to achieve something different, you have to be willing to do things others won't. This doesn't mean they're always going against everyone, but rather, they know when to trust themselves and not be swayed by others' opinions. Reverse thinking in this case means developing an internal compass that helps you distinguish what's truly right for you from what's not. You must be ready to face judgment from others, doubt, and even pressure. But what's important is that if you trust yourself and have enough knowledge, your judgment will only grow stronger and more accurate over time. The benefits of reverse thinking in work and life. One area where reverse thinking truly brings benefits is in your career. Many people pursue careers that society deems hot, without ever asking themselves whether those fields truly suit them. But successful people often choose less traveled paths and make their own mark. For instance, Elon Musk didn't follow the traditional path of tech entrepreneurs. He chose to invest in industries that most people deemed insane, like space exploration, SpaceX, and electric cars, Tesla. Yet because he dared to think differently and believed deeply in what he was doing, he achieved monumental success that few could have imagined. How to apply reverse thinking in everyday life. The most important thing to remember is that you don't need to be a genius to apply reverse thinking in your everyday life. You simply need the courage to question what you've been taught and not accept everything blindly. For example, instead of following what everyone else says is good, try experimenting for yourself to find what works best for you. When faced with a difficult decision, don't just rely on what others say or do. Listen to yourself, think it through, and make decisions based on what you believe is right. Don't fear being judged or criticized, because ultimately, you're the one responsible for your own life. Now that we've clearly understood the power of reverse thinking and how it can help you avoid being swept up by the crowd, let's move on to an important next topic. How to identify truth in a world full of illusions and misinformation. Once you've developed independent thinking and are no longer influenced by peer pressure, the next step is to learn how to see the truth behind everything. We'll explore how the modern world creates sophisticated illusions and how you can uncover the truth behind those masks. Let's dive into this in the next section of the video. Part 7. The ability to identify truth in a world full of illusions. In today's society, it's hard to distinguish between truth and illusion. We live in a world where information spreads at the speed of light, but not all of it is trustworthy. Platforms like social media, the news, and even big corporations often create images and messages designed to deceive us, making us believe in something that isn't entirely true. Illusions in the modern world. The modern world is built on illusions. From advertisements to the products we consume, everything is designed to make us believe in a specific narrative. Large corporations spend a fortune building brand images, creating emotional ad campaigns, and crafting the perception that their product is the best thing for our lives. But is that really the truth? For example, many beauty companies advertise that their products will make you more beautiful, confident, and even happier. But the reality is that appearance isn't the only factor determining a person's happiness. These advertising messages are often just part of a marketing strategy to sell products. And if you don't realize this, you can easily get caught up in the illusions they create, the ability to see through the truth. Truly intelligent people never believe everything they see or hear. They always ask questions, always seek the truth behind what is presented to them. This doesn't mean you need to be skeptical of everything, but you do need to develop the ability to analyze and evaluate information objectively. One way to identify the truth is to always verify the source of the information. Do you know where the information comes from? Does the person providing the information have a personal interest in it? Has the information been verified by other trustworthy sources? These questions will help you filter out false information and focus on what's truly valuable. Illusions in personal life. Illusions don't just exist in business or media, they are also present in our personal lives. Many people live under illusions about themselves, their lives, and their relationships. They believe they are happy when, in reality, they are living according to societal expectations and standards rather than their true desires. A prime example of this is social media. Nowadays, many people use social media to flaunt their perfect lives. But what you don't see are the struggles, failures, and true emotions they experience. Social media is just a filtered version of life, and if you don't recognize this, you may get caught up in comparing your life to others. How to escape illusions. To escape the illusions in life, the most important thing is to always ask questions and never accept everything blindly. Learn to look deeper into everything. analyze, and evaluate based on real data rather than emotions or what others say. When you develop the ability to identify truth, you will no longer be swayed by the illusions that others create. You'll live a more authentic life, one that is more meaningful and no longer bound by societal expectations. With the ability to identify the truth now developed, the next step in your journey is learning how to take full control of your life. In the next section, we will explore how to live a fulfilled and happy life, no matter the challenges and difficulties you face. This is the final step to truly mastering your life and achieving spiritual freedom. Illusions in personal life. Illusions don't just exist in business or media, they are also present in our personal lives. Many people live under illusions about themselves, their lives, and their relationships. They believe they are happy when, in reality, they are living according to societal expectations and standards rather than their true desires. A prime example of this is social media. Nowadays, many people use social media to flaunt their perfect lives. But what you don't see are the struggles, failures, and true emotions they experience. Social media is just a filtered version of life, and if you don't recognize this, you may get caught up in comparing your life to others. How to escape illusions. To escape the illusions in life, the most important thing is to always ask questions and never accept everything blindly. Learn to look deeper into everything, analyze, and evaluate based on real data rather than emotions or what others say. When you develop the ability to identify truth, you will no longer be swayed by the illusions that others create. You'll live a more authentic life, one that is more meaningful and no longer bound by societal expectations. With the ability to identify the truth now developed, the next step in your journey is learning how to take full control of your life. In the next section, we will explore how to live a fulfilled and happy life, no matter the challenges and difficulties you face. This is the final step to truly mastering your life and achieving spiritual freedom. Part 8. Mastering Life. Living fulfilled in every situation. We have explored many deep aspects of thought, from understanding oneself, avoiding the crowd, to recognizing the truth in a world full of illusions. But the journey of self-discovery and mastering life doesn't stop at understanding the world around us. It's about how you apply these insights to live a fulfilled and happy life. In this part, we will explore what it means to live a complete life, how to maintain confidence, self-control, and peace in the face of life's storms. This is the ultimate destination of everything we've been discussing. A life where you are in total control, not just because you possess knowledge, but because you have the ability to apply it in the real world. The meaning of mastering your life. What does it mean to master your life? It's not about controlling everything around you, because the world is always changing and there are things beyond our control. Instead, mastering your life means controlling how you respond to the world, to circumstances, and to the events that unfold around you. There's a famous saying, life is not what happens to you, but how you respond to what happens to you. This is one of the most important lessons taught in Stoicism. Each of us will face challenges, suffering, and failures in life, but the key is not to avoid these things, but to know how to face them with strength and calm. Self-control in all situations. In Stoic philosophy, there is a core principle called the dichotomy of control, the clear distinction between what we can control and what we cannot. This might seem simple, but applying it to life can completely change how you deal with difficult situations. Think about a time when you faced a major failure at work. The first thing you need to do is ask yourself, what in this situation can I control, and what can't I? You can't control how others criticize you, or if your project gets rejected, but you can completely control how you react to those things. You can choose between wallowing in disappointment or seeing that failure as an opportunity to learn and grow. Applying reverse thinking to handle difficulties. One of the greatest benefits of reverse thinking is that you won't be easily crushed by hardships. Instead of simply reacting in the way your instincts tell you, you can proactively control how you approach problems. For example, when you find yourself in a situation that makes you angry, instead of letting that anger dictate your actions, pause and think, will this emotion really help me solve the problem? This is a critical skill that successful people possess. They know how to manage their emotions, and instead of acting impulsively, they choose to approach issues with calm and logical thinking. The ability to control yourself, the foundation of a fulfilled life. This brings us to a key concept, self-control. In life, the only thing you can truly control is yourself, your emotions, your thoughts, and your actions. Everything else, from what others think of you to events happening around you, is beyond your reach. A person who has truly mastered their life is someone who knows how to control themselves in the face of life's uncertainties. They don't let external events dictate their emotions and actions, but always maintain their self-discipline and follow their own path. This is the key to living a fulfilled life. Happiness, the result of self-control and understanding. Once you've developed the ability to control yourself and are no longer swayed by external pressures, you'll realize that happiness doesn't come from material factors or external success. Instead, happiness comes from understanding and accepting yourself, from living in line with your values and beliefs. A fulfilled life is not one without difficulties, but one where you can face those difficulties calmly and with strength. When you learn to control your emotions, break through your self-imposed limits, and refuse to be ruled by the outside world, you will find true happiness. Happiness that comes from within, not from what you have or what others think of you. How to live a fulfilled life. So how can you live a fulfilled life and master your existence? Here are some important steps you can apply starting today. Understand yourself. First, you need to spend time understanding yourself. Ask yourself, what are my core values? What kind of life do I want to live? Once you have the answers to these questions, you will know what you need to do and will no longer be swayed by the standards others impose on you. Develop self-control. One of the most important steps to mastering your life is developing self-control. Learn to manage your emotions, think before you act, and don't let external factors determine your feelings. Think in reverse. Don't always act according to your natural instincts. Sometimes, to achieve success and happiness, you need to go against what you think is right, try new things, and not fear failure. Embrace failure. Failure is an inevitable part of life. Accept that you will face difficulties, but don't let them discourage you. Every failure is a valuable lesson, and the more you learn from your failures, the stronger and wiser you become. Seek balance. A fulfilled life isn't just about success in your career or achieving big goals. It's also about finding balance between work and personal life, between ambition and the simple joys of daily living. Live with gratitude. Finally, learn to be grateful for what you have in life, even the smallest things. When you practice gratitude, you will realize that your life is far more complete than you ever thought. This is the foundation of happiness. Now that we understand how to master life and live fulfilled, the next step is to reach spiritual freedom. This is the pinnacle of self-control and self-understanding, when you are no longer bound by external factors and can fully control your thoughts, emotions, and actions. In the final part of this video, we will explore the concept of spiritual freedom, a state that wise and successful individuals all strive for. Spiritual freedom doesn't mean escaping from the world, but rather achieving inner freedom, where you are no longer controlled by material things or societal pressures. Let's continue our journey in the next section. Part 9. Spiritual freedom, the pinnacle of mastery over life. Throughout our journey of self-discovery and the pursuit of fulfillment in life, we've delved into many key aspects. Understanding yourself, gaining control over your emotions, and learning to see beyond the illusions that often surround us. But ultimately, all of these efforts lead to one common destination: spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom isn't something distant or mystical. It is the highest state that any one of us can achieve, where our minds are no longer constrained by pressures, societal expectations, or material desires. It is when you can live a life not to please others, but to align with your true values, passions, and authentic self. The concept of spiritual freedom. So what exactly is spiritual freedom? It is the liberation of yourself from invisible limits set by society, culture, and even by yourself. It is when you are no longer controlled by the expectations of others, no longer weighed down by material success, and, most importantly, not held back by the fear of failure. Spiritual freedom means you are not bound by the norms or standards society places on you. You no longer need to chase wealth, power, or fame to feel happiness. Instead, you realize that true happiness comes from living an authentic life, based on the values and passions you truly believe in. Lessons from Stoic philosophy. In Stoic philosophy, there is a crucial concept related to spiritual freedom: detachment. The Stoics believe that happiness doesn't lie in the material things we have, but in how we control our emotions and thoughts. External factors, from wealth to social status, are things we cannot control. And when we place our happiness in things we cannot control, we create suffering for ourselves. One famous quote by the philosopher Epictetus is, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This means that no matter how the outside world may change, the important thing is that you know how to control your mind, not letting external factors dictate your happiness and spiritual freedom. Spiritual freedom in modern society. In modern society, we often see people who are considered successful in material terms, people with money, fame, or power. But are they truly happy and spiritually free? The answer is not always yes. Look at the lives of celebrities, for instance. They may have everything others dream of: wealth, public admiration, and the spotlight. But why do many of them feel lonely, depressed, and lost? This is because material wealth does not guarantee spiritual freedom. On the contrary, the pressure from fame and public attention can take away this freedom. Those who are truly successful, those we can call spiritually free, are the ones who do not let external factors control their lives. They may be famous, but they don't let fame dictate their existence. They may have wealth, but they don't live solely to pursue it. Instead, they live a meaningful life, following the values they believe in. The first step towards spiritual freedom. The first step towards spiritual freedom is learning to let go of the expectations and pressures society places on you. This doesn't mean abandoning everything and living irresponsibly. Instead, it means you need to clearly define what truly matters to you and what are merely the expectations of others. Ask yourself, are you living the life you truly want, or are you living the life others expect from you? Are you pursuing your own values and goals, or are you trying to please others? If your answer leans toward the latter, perhaps it's time to re-examine your life and start seeking spiritual freedom. Letting go, not giving up. When we talk about letting go, many people misunderstand it as giving up on everything. But in truth, letting go does not mean giving up. You don't have to abandon your life's big goals, but you need to learn how to let go of unnecessary pressures related to those goals. For example, if your goal is to become a successful leader, it doesn't mean you have to sacrifice everything else in your life to achieve it. You can let go of unnecessary pressures, like the feeling of needing to compete with others or the need for societal recognition, and instead focus on the values you truly believe in. So, how can you achieve spiritual freedom in your daily life? Here are some suggestions that you can apply. Self-awareness. Spiritual freedom begins with a clear understanding of yourself. You need to know what truly matters to you and what is simply an expectation from others. Take time to reflect and define your core values. Control your emotions. One of the keys to achieving spiritual freedom is learning to control your emotions. Don't let negative feelings such as anger, anxiety, or fear dictate your actions. Instead, learn how to regulate your emotions and maintain calmness in any situation. Live by your values. Don't let your life be dictated by values that others impose on you. Live by the values you believe in, and don't let anyone or anything lead you astray from your path. Learn to let go. Let go of external pressures and unrealistic expectations, and focus on what truly matters to you. Don't let yourself be swept away by expectations that don't align with your own goals. Find joy from within. Instead of seeking happiness from external sources like money or others' approval, learn to find joy from within. True happiness comes from self-understanding and living according to your own values. Spiritual freedom, the ultimate state of development. When you achieve spiritual freedom, you will realize that nothing can prevent you from living a complete life. You will no longer be controlled by societal pressures or the expectations of others. Instead, you will live a life full of meaning in the way that you truly desire. The Stoics called this state ataraxia, a state of inner peace, undisturbed by worries and negative emotions. This is the state we can all achieve if we learn to control our emotions, live by our values, and let go of unrealistic expectations. Spiritual freedom is not just the end goal, but a continuous journey. It is an ongoing process of learning, developing, and perfecting yourself. And when you achieve this state, your life will no longer be limited by external factors. Remember, spiritual freedom doesn't come from material wealth or power. It comes from inner control. Once you've mastered your mind, nothing can stand in your way. Now we've reached the final part of this journey. But don't worry, this isn't the end. It's just the beginning of a more complete, happier, and meaningful life. Conclusion: living fully and completely, the beginning of a new journey. We've come a long way together on this journey, from recognizing our own limits to exploring how to live with spiritual freedom. But the most important lesson we've learned is this: freedom is not a destination, it's a lifelong journey. Let's go back to the basic question we started with. Can we live a life unbound by human instincts, emotions, and natural tendencies? As we've discovered in previous sections, the answer is yes, but it requires courage, determination, and a willingness to confront ourselves. We've discussed how to look deeper into people's words and actions to uncover the truth behind each situation. We've learned how to reverse our thinking, so we're not swept away by the crowd and are open to finding new and unique solutions to difficult problems. We've discovered the ability to rise above our instincts and develop profound insights into life, not just from a personal perspective, but from a societal one too. Most importantly, we've seen that spiritual freedom is the ultimate state of development. When we control our emotions and thoughts and live by our most authentic values, we can achieve inner peace, a state where nothing can disturb us. Life is a complicated journey full of challenges, but if you always remember that your ultimate goal is spiritual freedom, you will never lose your way. Don't let societal pressures, other people's expectations, or self-imposed limits cloud your vision. Each person's life should not be confined by what others think or expect. You must live your own life, the life that makes you feel fulfilled and content. This doesn't mean life won't come with difficulties or failures. In fact, these challenges are the very opportunities to grow and refine yourself. But remember, this journey never truly ends. When you've achieved spiritual freedom, it's just the beginning of a new journey, a journey where you continue to discover yourself, grow, and live a more complete life. Every day is a new opportunity to learn, develop, and become a better version of yourself. And when you understand yourself better, when you master your mind and emotions, life becomes richer and more exciting than ever before. The path to spiritual freedom isn't easy. It requires patience, courage, and a lifelong commitment. But the ultimate reward is a life no longer bound by societal judgments, fears, or external pressures. Remember, spiritual freedom is not just the goal of extraordinary people or philosophers. It's something each of us can achieve, as long as we're willing to face ourselves and challenge our limits. So start your journey today. Begin by asking questions, thinking more deeply, and living by the values you truly believe in. Let go of unnecessary pressures, control your emotions, and seek happiness from within. This journey doesn't end, but with every step you will grow stronger, freer, and happier. Together, we've explored the journey of seeking spiritual freedom, a journey with no final destination, but only constant steps toward self-improvement. True freedom doesn't come from external factors, but from mastering the mind, emotions, and living by the truth of your own values. Thank you for accompanying me on this journey. I hope these insights have inspired you to keep exploring and to live a life full of meaning, happiness, and spiritual freedom. Goodbye, and I'll see you again on future journeys here at Daily Stoic Practice.